Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever this video finds you. I hope you're having a rad time. I'm the Figure Dude, and on today's action figure showcase, I've got Bradshaw, I've got JBL, and I've got his cabinet. Without further ado, let's talk about some figures. Dude. Welcome back. Like I said, today on the showcase, I'm going to take a look at all of my Bradshaw and JBL figures, and then I have his cabinet from when he was WWE Champion. So I'm not going to waste any time. First customs I have here are the Basham Brothers. And we originally got the Basham Brothers. They were in FCW for a little bit, and Jim Cornette talks relatively highly of these guys. On the main roster, it didn't really pan out for them. They debuted as part of an S&M gimmick with a Tough Enough, a contestant from Tough Enough. I don't even remember what her real name was. Her main roster name was Shaniqua, and she was their dominatrix, and they wore leather pants. And I'm pretty sure they did win the tag titles as this version of themselves, but then they had a little more prominence when they were in JBL's cabinet. So when JBL was WWE champion, he had his cabinet. He had the Basham Brothers. They were like his head of security. They were just kind of like his goons he threw around. But I had these Jakks figures. I really wanted them. I went with the blue attire. I think these might have been these were the decals that Curb Stomp had. These were the attires that they had on their Jakks figures. And even though I do think of them more in their black pants look, I didn't really want that. So had to make these guys to go with JBL. I don't have a Jillian Hall. She was also a part of JBL's cabinet as his secretary or whatever. I don't have a custom of her. Maybe one day. I wouldn't be shocked if we did get her in a Legends line or something. I don't know. It'd be a kind of weird cut, weird figure for Mattel to give us, but I'm not necessarily dying for a Jillian Hall, so we've got the Basham Brothers. Gonna move on from here. Next up is Orlando Jordan, and then this one was really fun to make. I did redo this one, so I made it a while ago. Same formula, same body, everything here, but I added all the decals, all the tattoos, all of that stuff. So the boots are painted. This is essentially a Booker T body. I did give him smaller arms. I wanted to have the stock white wrist tape on him, so I gave him these arms, gave him the white hands, which I don't might be from a Michael Tarver figure, but the head is from a Jakks figure. The head did not match. It didn't look terrible, but the material that they use on the Jakks figures just sometimes it works with the bodies. This one didn't, so I repainted the head to match a little bit better, and then all the decals are from Curb Stomp. So these ones were fun. Sometimes the black decals, the black backs, don't stick really well, or they crack when you apply them. Didn't happen with any of these. I was talking to someone on Instagram the other day about my process with decals and how much better I've gotten, and you can kind of see here it really the black blends in perfectly with the paint, and the yellow doesn't seem to have cracked really anywhere. Custom that I had on my shelf for a long time. It was good enough, and at this point I don't really want my customs to just be good enough, so redid everything, added all the tattoos, one I had a lot of fun with, and absolutely a necessity for JBL in his cabinet. He was kind of his right-hand guy. Orlando Jordan is who ended John Cena's U.S. title run right before he ended up winning the WWE Championship. So I always think of Orlando Jordan with the U.S. title. Didn't really do anything after that in WWE, once he broke off from JBL, but still a cool figure to have in my collection nonetheless. Next up here is JBL himself, and for better or worse, when I think of this version of the WWE Championship, of the Undisputed Championship, I think of JBL. Obviously, Brock Lesnar held it. Eddie Guerrero held it. The list of guys that actually held this belt specifically is pretty short. Undertaker, The Rock very briefly, Hogan very briefly, Triple H for a few weeks. Really not a lot of guys held this, and when I think of this, I think of SmackDown, I think of the Ruthless Aggression brand split, and JBL held this belt forever. during that time period. So I always think of JBL with this belt, even though like I hated him as a kid, and he was a great character, way like honestly way better than he should have been. But I have completely like redone this elite. I think it's 23 JBL. So same, the jacket is there. The legs and crotch piece are the normal ones, but I gave him a new torso, and that's the same thing. So you'll see, I'm going to show you with all my Bradshaw figures that JBL's formula I just think is jacked up. I hate the torso that they use for him for all of his figures. Obviously way too skinny and lean. So this one I tried a few different things. I tried the Shinsuke Nakamura torsos on him, and I like what they were going for with Shinsuke, but I think it's a little too like square, a little too big for Shinsuke. Um, but I think it kind of works for JBL. Like the size, like it should still be a little bit bigger. I think it's not perfect, and I honestly I'm gonna end up changing it. I have a JBL custom I plan to do in the near future here, but for me, for what I had to work with originally, I haven't touched this custom or fix up or whatever in a while, so it works for the time, but there's always room for upgrades. Next up here are some Bradshaw figures, and I wanted to do these ones first because we've got an official release from Mattel that I have not touched, and then we have a custom that I made myself. So you can see in the official, he's got that tall, skinny torso, and I think they just use this torso to like make up height on guys. So they use it with him, they use it with Wade Barrett. Barry Windham has this torso, and I don't know who this torso fits. I really don't like it. Some of the guys that do have this like a taller, wider torso, this is typically too tall for them. You can see like maybe like Pac or Adrian Neville, like he had a pretty ripped up torso. It could maybe work for him. I don't know. Just off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone. This is one of my least favorite torsos they have, right next to the Fandango torso that is just shredded beyond belief. But with mine, I use the same legs. I think the legs work perfectly fine, but then I swapped those onto a Mean Mark Callous body with that larger torso, a little bit beefier arms. The arms I think are fine. And the head scan I do really like, but I think that this JBL just needs a big upgrade, or Bradshaw needs a big upgrade to his formula. I don't think they're ever going to do it. We are getting the new Ruthless Aggression figure that I think looks really, really cool. I like all the accessories, but again, it's got that torso. I hate the torso. And at this point, I don't know how many more Bradshaw figures we're even going to get. I don't know if we'll get another JBL since we're getting that second one. Maybe I could see in like a greatest hits. I mean, nothing's off limits for greatest hits, but I love my formula compared to the official, so I'm going to keep doing that. Next up is another custom of mine, and same idea, same legs from Barry Windham and JBL share the same formula, so I think those legs might be from him. Has the white cowboy boots, has the big torso and everything. The head scan's from the Elite 38, I think that is the APA figure, and it's from his like brief hardcore title run, kind of in that middle area before, like after he is split from Farouk and wasn't in the APA anymore, and before he went to SmackDown and became JBL. He was just kind of floating around. He was hardcore champion on Raw, kind of just reusing his blackjack gimmick from the new generation from that time. So a weird cut, but one that I think the belt is really cool. It's never talked about. Like for the longest time, I wasn't sure if it was just something that I made up in my head, if it was like this weird fever dream of this U.S. title looking hardcore championship or whatever, but I saw this for sale. It's real. It's a real thing. It happened briefly. I think Tommy Dreamer might have also had it for a little bit, but something that I thought would be really cool for the early Ruthless Aggression shelf, and just another unique figure to have from the Ruthless Aggression era. So the last piece of my JBL collection is the aforementioned JBL from Elite 38. And this is an odd figure. The Farouk that we got in the same set, I was going to say I love. I don't love because we've got the weird, the skin tone for Farouk that's way too dark. Body-wise, I think that figure's way better. It's got the normal jeans mold. I don't like these jeans. They're just weird and large. They work for Luke Harper, which is, I think that's where this mold started, was with Luke Harper, where he's got kind of the big baggy pants, which that worked for Swamp Luke Harper, Brody Lee. Um, with Bradshaw, I just think it looks odd. It just looks too wide for the bottom, and then the torso is the t-shirt torso, which works, but that crotch piece is larger, so I don't think it works. I don't love it. It is kind of hard to come by, and I want APA in their street attire. You know, this is what more often than not when we were seeing the APA, it was in the backstage segment. So I did want this. We also did get like a variant, or I don't know if it was a variant or running change, but the APA also came with a sleeveless look. So instead of having these painted shoulders and biceps, it was just the plain skin tone, which I thought was pretty cool. I had these in my collection once and used them for parts because I bought them and I was like, wow, I don't like these things. And then I, like, once I started trying to like deepen my collection again, and like really, instead of just having like one of each, I wanted to have everything. I wanted street attires, I wanted all of it. Then I decided to get these back. I was able to get these in a trade with someone for some customs that I did myself. So I don't remember before if it was the sleeveless or not. Either way, it's an okay figure. The head scan, I actually think I'm going to take off and use for a Justin Hawk Bradshaw from when he debuted during the new generation. I just haven't gotten around to that one either. So more JBL, more Bradshaw customs coming. I do want to get them all on the screen together, including his cabinet. Take one more look, and then we'll be out of here. Here we have everyone to wrap things up. Got all our JBLs, got his cabinet. I always, like I said, I hated JBL. I hated his cabinet. I was so mad when Orlando Jordan beat John Cena. Looking back on stuff now, I think it's funny because they clearly did their job. I've talked about them. I've talked about The Miz, Eminem. Like, I hated these heels when I was younger, and it's made me appreciate them more now. The Basham brothers were always guys that I remembered, but like were total flunkies, jobbers, whatever. I hated Orlando Jordan so much. I was so mad he beat John Cena. I despised him. JBL, I remember him beating Eddie Guerrero at the Great American Bash. I watched that pay-per-view live because like many others, was a massive fan of Eddie Guerrero at that point. And when Eddie Guerrero lost the title, I was heartbroken. I was so upset. I was so mad. I hated JBL, and like the hatred I had for that man, especially at that point, was unmatched. Absolutely unmatched. But like I said, I'm going to have some more. I want to make SummerSlam, I think it was 2003 or 4, when JBL fought Undertaker for the title. He wore some like red tights. I wasn't sure if we were going to get that in the Ruthless Aggression line. We ended up getting his like goofy looking patriotic attire, which I'm glad. I think it looks really good. That translates really well in figure form. And then I do want to make a Justin Hawk Bradshaw from the new generation when he debuted. So those will be coming eventually. They're on the pipeline, as well as many others. Got 2 full shelves of works in whips. We'll just say whips. Works in progress. There we go. But anyway, I obviously, if you've noticed, I've hit 500 subscribers. I do want to announce sometime this week what I'll be doing for that giveaway. I'm also really close to 2,000 subscribers over on Instagram. So if you're not subscribed to either of those, go over, hit subscribe, hit follow, whatever. I'll have details on a giveaway soon. But as I like to always leave you at the end of these videos, remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can buy more action figures. Figure Dude out.